remember being told that I never would be fast enough, that I was too big, I was too heavy. In fact, I was too late to the game, which is crazy because I've been sprinting pretty much my entire life. I've had fast family members. People say the speed gene must have skipped me, that my family's track success must have ran out before it got to me. And externally, that stunk. But internally, it lit something, right? I knew my mom, my dad, and my sister was fast. But internally, deep down, I knew speed wasn't a birthright. It was a blueprint. And I just couldn't figure it out yet. My name is Lawrence Ella Johnson, a professional sprinter, multiple-time NCAA All-American, and a former dual sports D1 athlete in track and field and football. And this year, I placed 9th at the USA Championships and ran my first sub-10 win-aided performance in my career. And here's the proof behind what I teach. Every single athlete who's trained with me on a one-to-one basis for at least 6 months has set a new personal record either on the track or in our speed testing metrics. So results don't lie. And in this video, we're unmasking the lies that keep sprinters slow, that almost held me back in my entire career. And I'm going to show you how to build that system, strengths, and mindset to finally break through. So myth number 1, and this is the natural talent lie. I see this all the time. They told you you're either born fast or you're not fast. But talent is just untested potential. And the truth is that speed is truly built through systems, repetition, and a refusal to quit when progress feels invisible. I've coached athletes who ran 12-second hundreds in high school and now hit that 10-4 range in college. And that's not because God handed them the slow genetics or gave them new genetics. It's because they finally learned the science of sprinting. They did some tactical stuff to help rewire that myth. So, number 1, you need to film your starts weekly, track your angles and projections. You need to train max velocity at least twice per week with less volume but more intent. And you need to compare your form to your own last season and not someone else's who just ran a PR. Because you don't need a gift, right? You just need a system at the end of the day. But also, you can't pray for results that you never prepared for. So here's a quick story. A kid once told me, "Coach, I'll never be D1. I don't have the genetics." And I remember hearing that thinking like, man, only this kid knew. So I smiled. I said, good. Then you won't waste time trying to rely on them. We rebuilt his mechanics step by step from shin angles, arm drive, and recovery. And he did have speed in his blood, but he built speed in his bones. And by the end of the season, he cut 0.7 off of his PR. And his friends called it a miracle, but I called it math at the end of the day. Because when discipline meets direction, progress is predictable. I'll say that again. When discipline meets direction, progress is predictable. So here's how you can train. So stop believing that you were left out of the speed lottery at the end of the day. Because the real lottery is consistency. Because every rep you log, every meal you fix, every recovery day that you respect, that's how you build your ticket. God gave you potential, but he also gave you stewardship, and that's how you actually reach your potential. And honestly, I just learned how to multiply it. And this is myth number 2, the just run harder fallacy. If effort alone guaranteed progress, every athlete would be elite. The just run harder crowd just mistakes exhaustion for execution, because sprinting is not about trying harder. It's about moving better. So when your posture collapses, when you leak power, when your shin angles is too vertical, you lose acceleration. And when your arms cross midline, your energy goes side to side instead of leaning forward. Right? You want to lean forward instead of side to side. Here's a tactical correction. Keep a 45-degree projection through the first 10 meters. Drive your knees to hip height and recover directly underneath your hips. You want to snap your arms from your chin to pocket and not cross body. So film all your runs under 95% and compare it to elite models. So if you aren't having models in your testing, you're ultimately fixing nothing. So fix one thing per week, because you don't need to sprint harder. You need to sprint smarter. So I once trained a guy who believed that more pain equals more gain. And this athlete ultimately was not going to be able to finish the season because he wouldn't just follow the plan. So every session was a war zone with him. He had no technique, just rage at the end of the day. He'd finish first in practice, but last in meets. And the reason why is because you can't sustain chaos under pressure. Your body reverts to whatever you trained. And if you trained in a panic state, you're going to race in a panic state. And after we rebuilt his mechanics, rebuilt his mindset to help him control his rhythm, his times drop almost instantly. Not from extra work, right? But from efficient work. So at the end of the day, effort is not the enemy. Ego truly is. Ego says, I'll just go harder. But excellence says, I'll go smarter. Because you can't build elite speed on a foundation of flaws. So you need to make sure that you go to the core, the true foundations of speed. And that's the difference between good and great. It's really the willingness to slow down and fix what's broken. Because growth never happens in comfortable states, but it does require control, not blind control. And that leads into myth number 3, is the more is better trap. This one's killing athletes all over the world, right? It's killing you guys quietly. And they think that more volume equals more value. Well, really, that couldn't be further from the truth. So they train 7 days a week. They burn out and wonder why the clock won't move. Because speed is not endurance. It's precision plus power. You don't get faster by doing more. You get faster by doing what actually matters. And here's what real training looks like. Monday is acceleration and weights. Tuesday is tempo, around 70%, and mobility. Wednesday is your off and active recovery day. And Thursday is your max velocity and plyos day. Friday is your lifts and your core. And Saturday will be a rest day, or you can throw some pool work in there. And every great sprinter understands this stimulus. Every great sprinter understands this important law. Stimulus plus recovery equals adaptation. Because you don't build speed by training hard every day. You build speed by recovering well enough to train hard again. And this is a story that I hold dearly to my heart. There was a year where I thought more was better. And ultimately, all I did was hurt myself. I did 2-a-days. I had no off days, and I had constant fatigue. But on paper, you guys, I was a warrior. But in reality, I was plateaued. Then I got hurt. Hamstring strain here, calf strain there. And in that moment of forced rest, I finally understood that you can't pour from an empty tank. You really can't. Right? And after I rebuilt my training around strategic periodization, my times dropped and my body stayed healthy. So sometimes the most elite decision you can make is to rest. So my main goal on this channel was make real sprint training available to everybody. But the most valuable thing that I can do is to work with you one-on-one through my pillars of speed. What we'll do is we'll break down your film, rebuild your mechanics, and optimize your recovery and nutrition, and also lock in your mindset. So everything you need to drop those tenths off your time. So if you're serious about getting faster, what you can do is book a call using the second link below in the description to see if you're a good fit. If not, worst case scenario is we point you in the right direction. Myth number 4 is the unseen power of strength and nutrition, right? Most sprinters think speed just lives on the track, but in reality, they forget the truth is that the race is just the reveal of what you've done or what you built off of the track. I'll say that again. The race is just what reveals what you built off of the track. So you can't express force you've never trained to create. Every stride you take is a transfer of power from the ground, and if your body is not strong enough to handle that load, you're literally leaking speed. So here's what real off-track dominance look like. It's your lower body power, that's squats, that's cleans, that's step-ups, and that's split squats. All you need is 3 to 5 sets of 4 to 6 reps. Your posterior chains, that's RDLs, that's your hip thrusts, that's your hamstring curls. It helps strengthens what propels you. And that leads into number 3 is core stability. That's your planks, that's anti-rotational presses, that's hanging leg raises. This is the link between your arms and your legs. And number 4 is your nutrition. Keep it simple. You need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Carbs are for fuel before sessions and post sessions. And you want to make sure that you implement electrolytes and sleep for recovery. So I've seen athletes run faster by just eating consistently. Really, just eating consistently. That's going into one detail on one of the pillars of speed. Because you can't build horsepower on an empty tank. So here's a quick story. I call it the weight room awakening. When I got to college, I hated the weight room. I thought lifting would make me heavy because I had that mindset that I was too heavy of a sprinter. But the truth is, it made me efficient. In the first year I trained power instead of punishment, my ground contact times dropped. Every single stride became sharper. Every step became louder. Every finish was stronger. And that's when I realized that speed isn't just about being light. It's about leverage. So you can't pray for power and skip the preparation. Your body is the temple of your talent at the end of the day. So treat it like one, because even the best neurosurgeons don't operate on themselves. So stop winging your training. Get coaching, get feedback, and get systems. And that's how you close the gap between your potential and your performance. That leads into myth number 5. So let's talk about the one element that separates the gifted from the great, and that's the mind. You can have perfect mechanics. You can still lose if your mind folds under pressure. And you can't sprint free when you've been sprinting from fear. So real speed starts with peace, because tight minds create tight muscles. So here's how you can train your mind like your body. Number 1 is visualization. Before each workout, see the perfect race. See the perfect execution in your head, because once you can see it, you can achieve it. Number 2 is affirmations. I run with a purpose. I don't run with panic. And repeat it until you truly believe it. And number 3 is faith focus. You need to pray before you train, ask for clarity and not comfort. And number 4 is reflection. After each session, write down what you've learned, not just what you did, but write down what you learned or what you want to improve next session, because you can't move fast physically if you're stuck mentally. So here's the story. I call it the mental breakthrough. Before my first US final, my body was ready, but my mind wasn't. But I was actually experiencing things inside of my body, but at the end of the day, it was my mind. I kept hearing every doubt I heard since high school, or every doubt I've heard in that moment. But I remember that God does not give us the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. I breathed and I realized that everything at that moment prepared me for that moment. So there was no reason to be nervous. But the mind will always play games on you and say you're not ready yet. Now's not your time. But your time is when God allows you to go and take it. Now is your time. There's not a tomorrow. Today is your time. You just have to believe it. And most athletes never reach their peak because they're waiting to feel ready. But faith always shows up before proof did. You have to have the faith before you have the proof of who you actually are. So stop listening to the doubt and stop letting others limit your greatness, because God gave it to you, not anyone else. Not the people who said I was too big, the people who said I wasn't fast enough. God chose thee, and the chosen people don't ask for permission to start. They just move, because you don't need for permission to start. You already have the gift that God gave you. So let's tie everything together. If you want to get faster, here's your blueprint. Pillar 1 is movement mastery. So film weekly and fix one mechanic at a time. Pillar number 2 is power and programming. Lift 2 to 3 times per week with purpose. Don't just go in there with crazy purpose. Sprint max velocity twice per week. And pillar number 3 for this video is recovery and nutrition. So that's sleep 8 hours. Non-negotiable. Fuel before and refuel after practice. And mobility daily. And pillar number 4 is mental and faith. Non-negotiable. You need to reflect nightly. Pray for discipline and not ease. And stay connected to your why. This is how dream protectors train. We don't train randomly, but we train righteously. We train rigorously. We train with intention. So say this with me. I am a dream protector. I don't worship talent, but I develop it. I don't chase random workouts. Instead, I build systems. And I don't train for approval. I train for purpose. That's what a dream protector athlete is. So when my body feels done, I remember the 40% rule. And I tell myself, I'm just getting started and there's still 60% left. Because growth never happens when you're comfortable. I protect my dreams because God entrusted it to me. And that's the culture. That's what it means to be a protected dream athlete. And that's what we teach inside Sprint University. But the mission is simple, is to transform sprinters by providing them skills and systems to achieve every dream they have. So if you're an athlete who don't want to rely on hype, but on the laws of speed, systems, and a family of focus, you can join our free community of Sprint University of sprinters, all working together to get faster for free. You can click the first link in the description of this video. So for the next 7 days, this is what I want you to do. Film 1 rep per day. Fix 1 flaw each session. Write down 1 gratitude line before bed, and watch how clarity creates confidence and confidence creates speed, because momentum is hard to start, but it's basically unstoppable once it moves. So don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. If you found this video helpful, make sure you share it with somebody that needs to see this. Now you have two choices. You can be like the 99% of people who will get inspired but still stay in the same place. Or you can be that 1% who actually protects their dreams. You can do that by joining my free community called Sprint University, where sprinters train with systems and not guesswork. Click the first link below and start building your own pillars today. I'll see you guys in the next video.